I'm Bruce Gordon. In early 1972, I was in the fighter plans shop of headquarters USAF in Saigon, Vietnam. Our office was just down the hall from the AC-130 gunship office, and I became involved in a very interesting test of their gunship weapons. Each day, I would brief our general on what the fighters had done during the day and what our plans were for the following day. I would be followed by the gunships, who would tell what their plans were and what their results were. The gunships reported very large numbers of trucks killed, and they had low-light video to prove it. However, as the weeks went on, it became apparent that they were killing more trucks than North Vietnam had. The general questioned it. He questioned how they could be killing so many trucks, but there were always more trucks. Even though the gunships had video of the trucks being destroyed, something was wrong. They could not be killing as many trucks as they said. The gunships had 20mm Gatling guns and 40mm cannons to shoot at the trucks. They figured if they got a good burst of 20mm Vulcan cannon fire onto the trucks or one 40mm cannon shell, they counted the truck destroyed and moved on to the next truck. The general was suspicious that the trucks were not being destroyed, and he decreed that we would have a test on our own gun range in South Vietnam. We drove 7 U.S. Army trucks out onto the gun range. 4 of them had no cargo, and 3 of them had drums of gasoline in the back. All trucks had a half a tank of fuel, and we had them all with their engines running. The gunship's standard tactic was to fly a left-hand orbit around their target. They would fly at about 10,000 feet, firing down on their target as they went around. For them, the target was always outside their left window and almost effectively was not moving. They could be quite accurate. However, the distance was great. They had about a 12,000-foot slant range. This range turned out to be critical. The gunship fired 20mm Gatling gun at the first 2 trucks, getting multiple hits, then moved on with 40mm to the remaining 2 empty trucks, getting one 40mm hit on each truck. They then moved to the remaining 3 trucks which had fuel loaded on them, fired on them, and those caught fire. The 20mm cannon fire had broken all the windows and flattened the tires on the first two trucks, but they had not penetrated the hood. There was just dents around the truck. The engines were still running. We changed the tires, and drove the trucks off. The next 2 trucks had been hit by 40mm cannon shells, 1 shell per truck, because one 40mm was supposed to destroy the truck. On one truck, the shell had hit the wooden handrail that the soldiers hang on to while they're riding. The shell exploded in the air and did very little damage. On the second one, the 40mm shell hit in the bed of the truck, made a hole in the bed, the shrapnel went down and flattened all the tires. We changed the tires and drove both trucks away. We had discovered that the 20mm shells lost their velocity being fired from 12,000 feet away and would not even penetrate the hood or body of the truck. And we also discovered that the 40mm shells were not as effective as we thought. The general changed the rules. From then on, if the truck was hit but did not catch fire, it was only damaged. We could only call it destroyed if it burned. The general was angry that we had to discover the weakness of our weapons in the middle of a war in Vietnam, something that should have been discovered during normal testing in the United States. I was very impressed with the general. He had seen a problem, had taken action to have it studied, and had reached a reasonable conclusion and reasonable actions and went ahead. He had the spirit of attack.